Hi, and welcome back. I'm James Theodore Stillwell III, and I want to welcome you back to another edition of OpenAirAtheist. I want to take this segment to just answer a few questions and comments posted. The first one is from Matthew Taylor Brown. I'd like to hear what your last straw, and forgot to add was, but we all make mistakes, right? I don't know if there was any particular last straw for me. It's kind of funny. Before I became an atheist, I actually became a Jew for about 3 months theologically. I heard a really good argument, a couple good arguments from a Orthodox Jewish rabbi known as Tobias Singer. Had a radio show on Israel National Radio. And he touched on some pretty good arguments against Christianity. And one of those arguments was in the ways in which Christianity in the New Testament claims to, or pretty much the way they paint Jesus into the Old Testament. And a lot of the quotes a lot of the quotes from the Old Testament that they use are actually mistranslated in the Christian Bible. How convenient. There's one where this verse, supposedly a certain verse, is talking about Jesus. I believe it's in the Psalms. I can't remember if it's Psalm 22 or something like that. I'll touch on that in some other video and get more specific, but basically the word in controversy, I believe, was korari, which means like a lion. Of course, they translate it pierced, and it makes it sound like as though David is prophesying about Jesus and about his hands being pierced, when actually David appears to be referring to himself if you read the entire context. Also, Isaiah 7:14, the word Alma is in controversy, has been for years. Translated in the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the scriptures, which Jesus and the apostles would have had access to, and actually quoted. Many of their quotes from the Old Testament were from the Greek version of the Old Testament. So the word is translated virgin, in the New Testament. The word Alma actually means young woman specifically, and actually in that particular passage, the word, it's actually, I believe, compound word, which is Alma. Ha means the, it's a definite article, and Alma is young woman. So the young woman, she'll give birth, she'll conceive a child. And so you see, if you read the context of that verse, because see, most Christians know that verse, but they don't know the context. And if you read the context, it's talking about Isaiah's own son, a child that will be born, or actually it's in the perfect tense, which means that it already has happened. And of course, a lot of the Protestant Bibles or Christian Bibles translate it as will in the future. So they mistranslate that as well to make it seem like this is prophecy that was fulfilled by Jesus in the birth of Jesus. So there are many arguments that are out there and that are convincing. I read some of Dawkins' arguments, the God Delusion. I thought they were quite convincing. A lot of his arguments on morality, altruism, such things as that. The evolution argument, helping me to understand what evolution is, that it's not just mere blind chance. So actually, if you have all the time in the world, so to speak, and as many tries as you need, or more tries than you need, then it's actually a miracle that beings wouldn't evolve from natural selection. Anyways, I probably articulated that not so well, but kind of knew this whole atheism, at least from the standpoint of being an atheist, whereas I used to refute atheism. And I think a lot of what I used to refute was actually a straw man. It wasn't atheism itself, but actually a caricature of atheism. I guess some of Dan Barker's arguments when I was at a debate in Oregon this past year, some of his arguments stuck and creeped their way into my mind like a splinter. I would say definitely Dan Barker, although I find a lot of his debating to be not as efficient as I would like it to be. I'm not really a fan of Dan Barker debates. The next question, which was why or how is this video surprising? Which this comment or this question is about the first video I posted up. How is the video surprising? Well, not to myself, obviously, and probably not to you guys viewing the videos, except for my former colleagues, which is why I stated that my own video was surprising, because I was a extreme Christian. I was probably, if you'd met me a year ago, I was probably the last person you'd ever think that would become an atheist. So surprising to them when they watch these videos. That's why I said that video was surprising. Then from Choose This Life, look forward to hearing more. Well, I hope you look forward to hearing more, because I look forward to making more videos and touching on some more topics. I have so many that I am contemplating on debating and discussing that I can't really at this point put my finger on one, so I'm just going to have to flip a coin or something and decide which one I'm going to tackle first. There are many questions such as, can we know anything for sure without God? I mean, we go to the Cartesian mind experiment of Descartes, where we postulate a deity, he basically doubts everything, even his senses. And if you put a stick in water and it looks like it's bent, but then you take your hand and you feel it to see whether it's bent, and it's not, it's straight. So your sense of sight has deceived you. But in order to know that your sense of sight has deceived you, you have to use one of your other senses, and that is circular reasoning. So we can't get outside of ourselves. The only thing I can be sure of is that I exist, because I think, therefore I am, to quote from Descartes, his probably the most famous quote. How do we account for logic without a deity? These are things that plague me at the moment. These are things that I used to argue with atheists. How can you, the very fact that you show up for a debate with me proves that you don't even believe your own position. Because in order to account for logic, what would have to be true? In order to account for the uniformity of nature, what would have to be true? But again, like the moral argument, just because I can't have thou shalt not kill, and I like thou shalt not kill, and thou shalt not commit adultery, and all these things, or any kind of universal ought without God, I can't justify it logically, doesn't mean that God or morality exists. It could be just something we created to get along with each other. So there are many topics that I need to touch on, and I will be, and I'll actually make some challenges probably here shortly to, hopefully, this is in the works, to reformedevangelist.com. They're open air preachers on YouTube, and I used to be affiliated with them. So should be some interesting videos in the works, hopefully. All right, thank you, and see you next time.